Anybody who's considering voting to leave the EU needs to consider what the UK outside of the EU would realistically look like. Freedom of movement rules mean that we all work on a level playing field and all of our rights are respected at work. All of our economies across the EU require flexibility of people to move around and fill jobs when they arise. But once people are in those jobs, they deserve to have the same protections of their rights as anybody else, and also for the nationals of the host country to be protected from having their wages on the cut or losing their jobs because you can hire some other EU worker and not give them the same benefits for the same holiday.
I came to London in 2012 and looking for new chances. And the beginning of everything was working with kids. What an easy way to have a house, to improve my English and get involved in this society, in the culture and stuff. After this, I was doing like work of hospitality to get another part of the language was very important for me. And after this, I went to look for another qualified job. I am still on the way. So now my priority is to have time to do whatever I want, even if it's not paid, because here it's very hard to get involved in your professional area.
Unfortunately, I think that immigration is going to be the defining issue in the debate around the EU referendum. A lot of people see the EU as the reason why we have high immigration to this country, and they want to reduce that. So they see leaving as the best option, but people will always move. It's the natural human thing to do, to go to where you have better conditions, where you have a job, where you can look after your family and provide for them. While it's true that over the past couple of decades, the EU has pursued very, very tight border controls, have spent a lot of money on building up this Fortress Europe. You can also see a parallel in the UK where we've built up a Fortress UK within that. Being part of Europe allows us to use our influence to try to move things in a more positive direction.
I came to the UK 3 years ago. I came to study at Queen Mary University of London, and I come from Greece. For most jobs, even part-time jobs in the UK, they will ask whether you have the right to stay and work in the UK. And this would be a problem if I wasn't considered a home student, because as an EU student, I can apply to all of the jobs that the British people can apply as well. I pay the same amount as British students, and also I have a right to a student loan for my tuition fees, without which it would have been impossible for me to come and study here. I'm very worried about the consequences of an exit from the European Union, because that would mean that I wouldn't be able to stay past my studies to work here, and I would have to apply for a visa again, which would basically mean that my chances of staying here would be a lot less. And there would be a chance that I wouldn't be able to come back to the UK, and I would need to find an occupation back in my home country, which would be very difficult with a British degree. Leaving your country is not an easy step to take at a very young age. So once you book your first ticket to go to the UK, you want to stay there, you don't want to have to go back so that you can apply for a visa, which is a lot of extra costs. And also it has an impact on your mental well-being, because it stresses you out a lot, and finding a job once you finish your degree is already difficult enough. You don't want to have to deal with all of this bureaucracy that comes with having to apply for a visa. But also I think that if the UK left the EU, then that would have an impact on how EU citizens are viewed by other British people and how we are viewed by our employers, because that would make us foreign, whereas right now we are still considered home citizens.
If we were to leave the EU, it would open the door for the possibility to roll back all sorts of rights that we have fought really hard to achieve. People should not have poorer life chances simply because they were born in another country. Your place of birth shouldn't define whether or not you're entitled to basic workplace protections.